Hey there, hi there, ho there. It's another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube on a Thursday as we get ready for Sparty and the new look Sparty helmet.
I didn't see it.
They finally got their wish. There's been a movement afoot for a while at Michigan State to try to get the I forget what I'll have to look up what they
they had the S and then they had the Spartan.
What they call it. Yeah, this is the Spartan with the jaw coming out from underneath.
Wow.
Oh, I'm blanking on what they call the doggone that version of Sparty. But the
one that they have historically used, or is it?
No, this is the one with the jaw.
Okay.
So, anyways, they are.
I've always loved Sparty's uniforms. I don't know why. I go back to the Percy Snow, Chuck Bulla, and Tony Manrich days of loving Sparty's uniforms, and they used to beat Michigan up back in the day too. So I was cool with that at all times.
Yeah, the Gruff Sparty. I couldn't come up with Gruff. Gruff Sparty. There's the.
Oh my God! They've been wearing it all season.
No, that's what has been approved this week after much.
Are you kidding me?
Request from the fan base. So they finally have their Gruff Sparty on the helmet. So Penn State, Michigan State Saturday. Honestly, though, I before we talk about the game and football, is there any way that the Big Ten could have handled everything surrounding this season worse? I mean, I guess there is. There's always anytime anybody says, "Oh, it couldn't get worse," then it can get worse. My God, from the we're going to have it's not safe. Oh, never mind. If it's safe for everybody else, well, we can do it too. No, you absolutely have to have 6 games. To well, yeah, maybe if it's Ohio State, we can get away with just 5 games. To the whole mishandling here, I don't understand. There's a couple of things that I don't understand. One is, why in the world, with anything, given the world situation right now, you put ironclad rules or guarantees in? Don't do it.
I've been using
Say
your
we're going to do our best to do
now.
this. We're going to do our best to do that. This is what we hope happens. Whatever. But don't say anything to the effect of this has to happen or this won't happen. Everything is so doggone fluid right now that it's idiotic. You pigeonhole yourself. The other thing, though, is you've got to communicate, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to at least communicate within the conference. And again, I think most people are pretty understanding here of, and you're never going to please everybody, right? We all agree. And in fact, you're never going to please anywhere near half of the people, right? Because there's 20 different ways to handle every situation here. And so you're not going to get any kind of a consensus that you made the right decision, but you've got to make some decisions. So make them, understand that they can change, explain that. But you've got to make some plans, right? Like you've got to have a plan in place for, hey, this is how we're handling those end of the season games.
We got nothing.
The plan is we're going to go to X venue, these 3 different venues. We're going to have a home game for these 3 teams and these 4 in something. Whatever it might be, have a plan, understanding. Again, I get it. The plan could change. But and communicate that. Listen, this is our plan A, this is plan B, this is plan C, and who knows? We may go to a plan D that isn't included. Fine, but explain to people what's going on. How can you be a week and a half out, not even 9 days out now from these games, and
you're talking about the final game.
Nobody has an idea of what the plan is or what this is going to look like. This is absurd.
It's completely insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, as a former player, I know fans can come. I know this, right? But what about hotels for the players the night before the game? What about mom and dad? They need to start making some arrangements to be. I mean, we've heard anywhere from Detroit to Indianapolis and Minnesota, right? For they were going to play the games in those domes and stuff like that, and they don't even know what the hell's been going on next week. I mean,
Well,
it's just
trying to juggle class schedule, right? I mean, it depends. If Penn State's at home, right, then these
you think it might be a home game?
Can go through class on Friday.
Oh.
If they're going somewhere, they can't go through classes on Friday. Folks, we're 9 days out. These are important things that you need to let the kids know. We're getting toward the end of the semester.
We're
Final projects,
yeah.
finals, all of that stuff. You've got to, and not just at Penn State. I mean, across the conference, there's different schedules with different schools. This is. It's almost as though they are trying to make themselves look as bad as possible and make this as difficult on the kids, the student athletes that they continue to tell us they care so much about. Then quit making this so difficult on them.
The two decisions that they've made this year that were weird were to have the season and then to put Ohio State in the final game and negate their rules. Both of them were 1,000,000% backed by money. So next week, what's going on here? How is money going to drive this? Are we trying to find better TV deals for the 7 Big Ten games that are on next week? I mean, obviously, this whole season has been driven by money, in my opinion, and yours. Correct?
Yeah.
I mean, every decision they've made so far, oh my God, it always goes back to follow the money. And wow, they made the decision that makes the most money for them.
And listen, that money, I'm not.
It is necessary.
I'm not upset about that in and of itself, because without that money, we don't have the whatever it is now, 31 varsity programs at Penn State.
Yes,
you probably have 3 or 4. So I mean, the money is. But again, the decision-making process and the lack of clarity and communication is just, I mean, it is mind-boggling.
In James's face last night, just like the frustration, like.
So the kids
his interview
through this are getting ready for the Michigan State game on Saturday. And it's interesting because Michigan State is an up-and-down team, as they seem to always be. I mean, every year that seems to be the case. Some years, more wins than others, but it always seems that there are games where you're just like, wow, I can't believe that team on the plus. It's just always at least a game or two where you're like, wait, that team just did what against who?
True.
It's just been the MO of Michigan State.
Sparty being Sparty is the saying.
So that being said, I think if you're a Penn State fan, lots of reasons to feel good going into the game, coming off the last couple of performances in Michigan State's most recent outing with Ohio State. I do think this is an important game for Penn State, again, just to kind of end the season, and whether or not there is a final game and what that looks like and where it is and who it's against and all of that. But to finish the regular season with another win in the 3-game win streak after the 0-5 start, I think allows the kids, if not the fan base, to feel a little better about, hey, we have this thing under control heading into next year. We've got a lot of young kids that are playing bigger and bigger roles as this season goes along, and playing better and better as this season goes along, and figuring some things out. So
3-game win streak, win this week's 4, get the Big Ten. This week would be 3. The Big Ten game would be 4.
Yep.
And then play a bowl game. You get to 5-5. You don't have a losing season. That's a ton of momentum going into the spring and in the next year that we did not have 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I think, the running game is picking up. The offensive line as a whole is looking much better, certainly much better against Rutgers than it had all season. I think the defensive line is getting more pressure than what we've seen all season long. So, again, you're hoping to just kind of see the team and the program build on the last couple of weeks and go out with another strong performance against a team that, talent-wise, I think is overmatched in this game, which, again, doesn't mean I think Penn State has a talent disparity advantage significantly over Maryland, and it did not matter in that game. So it's not that this is a gimme by any stretch.
Nope.
But again, if you took any objective coach and said, which of these rosters do you want to coach and take your chances with, I think 100% would say, give me that Penn State roster and I'll work with it. So Penn State has that advantage going into the game. And again, playing with some momentum, some confidence, and Michigan State, I think, searching for both of those things as we head to the final week of
They didn't look good last
season.
week at all. I thought they would show a lot better against Ohio State. Ohio State came in with 24 guys down and just dominated up and down the field the whole game. And we were kidding around about Sparty being Sparty, and that is that they have an ability to just say, you know what, screw it, I'm done, we're done, and they quit. It's happened since I was playing back in the day, and it's happened. They've had some fantastic, unbelievable seasons, but they've had some fantastically, unbelievably bad seasons and bad losses and that type of thing. So, you're all right. It is a crapshoot of what team is going to show up this week, because I got a 75% chance in my head saying the one that's going to say the season, just end it, get it over with. We don't want to be here. We don't want to keep playing.
Well, and I think if Penn State and we've said this, for 7 previous games, and we'll say it again, but getting out to a quick start, I do think it would be demoralizing to Michigan State, and obviously gives you that good feeling on the Penn State
crowd gets into it. People are going crazy. Marshmallows getting
senior
thrown
day.
around.
Oh, it's going to be
Penn State never loses on senior day.
Yeah,
all these people out there, 110,000 people in the parking lot, just going absolutely bonkers.
Get your marshmallows.
Oh, man. Yeah, so, I mean, it's going to be a huge game. It's a very, very important game. And we say this every week, but, hey, man, we started 0-5. We got a chance to go 5-5 by the end of the season. So, 1 week at a time. I think that James has a pretty good feel of what these guys are doing right now. I think that these guys are getting it. They're being cohesive on the offensive defensive line. And you're starting to see it from guys that you didn't see the first couple of weeks, which was so alarming to me. I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't think they were getting the leadership that they thought that they would be getting from a lot of seniors. But, this is their last game here, probably, possibly. Who knows? I mean, I think that, Big Ten could change that rule again, too.
Well,
so all seniors that are playing, anybody who played this year, the rule is it's not counting against your eligibility.
Correct.
Which is insane across the whole.
Yeah, I still think.
I think it'll change.
And 2 things about it. 3 things about it. 1, I think the intent is terrific, right? Yeah. I mean, everybody's heart is in the right place. I'm not sure when you start using your head and thinking about how this actually affects rosters and the normal flow of college athletics. Again, we talk about it all the time, but there is, you have, for the most part, that 5-year window for 4 years of eligibility. And you set up your recruiting classes in large part through that, right? True. So that hey, we have this stud quarterback. He's graduating this year. We've got to get one somewhere in the, his junior or senior year that we think is going to be the next great one, or develop one that we think can be great that junior and senior year and, develop behind it. But everything is done with that kind of in mind, including, by the way, the monetary allocation.
Sure.
And I still think that is the most underappreciated aspect of this, is the impact this has. And forget the scholarship and that actual monetary impact, but from the training staff and all of the resources, academic resources, you are adding potentially for a sport like football. And I don't think it's going to happen where you actually get 30 kids saying, yep, I buy in. But you could, in theory, get 30 more kids that you're working with next season than what you're used to. And for that matter, for the subsequent years, right? Well, folks, that is not in sports like football and wrestling. I mean, all sports to some degree, but where the physical sports where, I'm telling you, I see it obviously up close with wrestling. You add another 3 kids each year that the trainer's having to deal with. It can't do it. Not be fair and get proper training to each of the kids. I'm telling you, as it is, they are stretched thin. And I think Penn State allocates probably more resources than a lot of schools to that end of it. So that I don't think this was well thought out from that point.
I think it'll change. I really do.
It may very well, which, although that is going to come fraught with its own set of problems
I didn't plan on staying.
Issues. But the other thing, the other component to it is again, that trickle-down effect, so that now the kids that are coming in, especially next year, but even this year, but more so next year and the following year, right now you've made it that much more difficult for them to come in and get what they were hoping to get or what they thought they were going to get out of their college experience, and being able to play and all of that. It just, and again, I don't know what the answer is. Somewhere along the way, this is going to be unfair to a bunch of people, right? I mean, if you don't allow these kids that extra year of eligibility, which is, by the way, what they did to the spring sports last year, or the winter sports, excuse me, not the spring sports, the winter sports last year, right? The wrestlers tough luck. But now we're going to turn around.
No, that's not. It's going to change.
It's just the level of hypocrisy that continues.
This is the NCAA we're talking about.
Not just from the NCAA, from the individual universities, and from the conferences, and especially the Big Ten. It just is, I think, just mind-boggling. I mean, it really is just amazing that you can allow this and have this and continue to develop. And again, I get it. They're not dealing with easy situations, but I think they're making it. I think it's going to be more complicated moving forward because of this, and more complicated not just for the reasons we talked about, but listen, the monetary situation that a lot of these universities are facing as a result of the ongoing results of COVID, right? No fans in the stands. We'll see what happens here over the next month or two, but depending on what predictions you're believing or what models you're believing, I mean, it certainly is within the realm of possibility that we're going to see a bunch of stuff like this shut down again. And I don't know what the reaction is at that point to all of these things that are set up. But again, in a time where you're facing a financial crunch as a result of this, you're asking these schools to take on additional financial burdens to cover. Again, it's not just the tuition costs or the housing costs and all that with the student athletes. It's the training staff, it's the food, it is the right on down the line for all these additional athletes for another 4 or 5 years. That is a significant expense. And again, while I think the intent here is good, and I think everybody's heart is in the right place, I really am very concerned that the long-term result is you are going to see more and more programs get cut from varsity status at these Power 5.
It's already begun. I mean, and then you know what?
Well, I'm saying, but I think you're going to see a lot more if this, because it just
but
it's going to trickle down.
And then we've talked about many times before. A lot of these schools want to try and maybe somehow weed some of these non-revenue sports out, and it's a great excuse for them to be like, well, we got to blame COVID. We're looking at, we talk about the restaurant industry and people in business that just in general have been a little teetering this and that. And it's just easy to say, pack it up. Yeah, it was COVID. COVID finished us off, And I mean, there's some schools that don't, they're looking for an exit maybe in some of these sports. And it stinks. It really, really, really does stink across the board. I know that LaSalle University down in Philadelphia dropped a bunch of sports. They're trying to go fund themselves now. And it's just like, oh, my God almighty. It's so sad. Then it's just going to get worse. I mean, hey, we can go, we live our lives and go, do what we can. And it's, a weird year, a weird world. Hopefully 2021's better. That's all I could say. I mean, damn.
Turning to something a little more positive, we'll take a break here in just a little bit. I did want to talk about the Penn State basketball team. We talked on Tuesday about the blowing that game against Seton Hall and just how disheartening it was.
Learning lessons.
You talk about learning lessons and putting them to use. And I was talking about that first half against Seton Hall as being one of the best halves of basketball I've ever seen. That complete game against Virginia Tech ranks up there with some of the top performances I've seen from that basketball
ranked
program.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I think, and we saw it in the first half against Seton Hall. We've seen it for, a good bit against Virginia Commonwealth. I mean, this is a team that when it is on, this is a team that I think rivals last year's squad, which, again, on any given day was certainly capable of beating anybody. In the country. Now, the Big Ten is once again the Big Ten, and it is
they proved that over the ACC.
Going to be easy. Man, I'm telling you, was that not unbelievable?
I mean, those games for a few years, this is what, going on for how many years? 20 years? There were some seasons where the ACC was completely dominant over the Big Ten, and then there was a couple of years where they were very similar, and then go back to the ACC. But what the Big Ten just did to the ACC is holy hell.
Yeah, Illinois and Ohio State leading the way, but it was a very, very impressive showing. And listen, I think turning to Penn State, I mean, I really do think that this team, if we get a full season such as it is, I really do think this team has a chance to be pretty special in the annals of Penn State basketball history. I really do. The number of different shooters they have. I mean, Brockington obviously was phenomenal Tuesday night, but you're not, Lamar Stevens, and it wasn't that they didn't have other players step up. They obviously did. But I mean, there was no question who your go-to guy was last year. The problem for opposing defenses this year is that there isn't a go-to guy. There's 4 or 5 guys that you feel very comfortable, very confident in down the stretch, and again on any given night. And I really am impressed for as frustrating as the shot selection was down the stretch against Seton Hall those last couple of minutes, and as disappointing as that was. Overall, this has been a very unselfish basketball team, and a team that truly is one of those, we're going to hustle, we're going to win with grit type of thing. And, listen, the talent is there, but all of those other factors that you need to get a program like this to that next stage, it is there, and it's been fun.
They're rallying.
It really has been fun, with the exception of a couple of minutes and a couple of games. It's been fun to watch this team this season.
This team has rallied around the departure, resignation, forced resignation, firing, whatever, of Pat, and they are out there. They're out there hustling and playing for each other, man. That's what they're doing right now, and there's nothing better than a team that is devoted to itself. Nothing. They're playing for their brothers. They're playing for their they're playing with a lot of heart right now, which is great. It's fantastic to see, because, they're very driven, and a driven team can beat anybody right now. Only thing that scares me, historically, you've watched these teams who are great outside shooting teams and this and that, is that you do run into those nights where you are off. Yeah. My brother played at LaSalle University back in the late 80s, early 90s. Unbelievable team. Lionel Simmons, Tim Legler, Richie Tarr, Larry Koritz, Jackie Hurd, my brother. All these guys, they were fantastic teams, but they would get to, and they were just rifling, hammering threes. Legler hammering threes. But the day he was off and they weren't hitting those threes, Dougie Overton was the point guard. The day they went to the NCAA playoff and they played in a different arena that wasn't full and this and that, and they were off, got smoked right out of the tournament. So that is what scares you. So you still need, of course I'm going to say you still need the inside presence. Because I'm a mutant, obviously, but that's what this is. I really do enjoy watching this team.
Yeah, and I will say what they're doing on the defensive end right now, and with the transition game is really, really fun, and that does hold up, right? You can have an off night shooting, and actually that's what gets you through that is those easy opportunities, creating the fast break chances with what you're doing at the defensive end. So
love them.
I hear what you're saying, but man,
Huge.
this is a team that I think is really dangerous.
Sunday's a huge game.
But yeah, and listen, the conference again as a whole. I mean, Michigan obviously is right up there, but it's just this is typical of the last several years anyway of Big Ten basketball, top to bottom. It is a grind, and there's probably 3 or 4 legitimate Final Four contenders in the conference, and probably 12, at least 10 or 11 legitimate team that you would say right now.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they've got a legitimate shot of getting into the tournament, presuming that there is a tournament to get into at the end of the season.
We shall see, brother.
Let's take a break here. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about Penn State, Michigan State coming up on Saturday. We'll talk a little bit about the Steelers and the Eagles as we head rapidly toward the end of the fall sports, and of course winter sports now getting in full swing. We continue with more on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on a new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2020 Kia Sportage LX with various options and prices as low as $26,860 with savings over $3,800.
If you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2020 Kia Sorentos starting at $31,205 and over $6,100 in savings.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Who wants to turn $20 into $500? Support our local restaurants this holiday season. Eat in or dine out, from French fries to lobster. Bring us your receipt and we'll take $500 off your final price. Here's how simple this is. Bring us a receipt, buy a car from us in the month of December, and we'll take $500 off your final price. Merry Christmas from Blaze Alexander Hyundai Mazda. Support your local restaurants and servers. And remember, tell them Johnny sent you.
And we welcome you back into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube. A wonderful place to be. And man, I'm telling you, if you are a sports fan, this really is, with the TVs and the great food, this is a wonderful setup for as long as the state allows this to be set up.
Yes, and I just do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. You guys just saw that commercial for Johnny Broom at Blaze Alexander, giving $500 off of any new vehicle, used vehicle, if you bring in a receipt from a local restaurant. I mean, that's a great job by Johnny and the Blaze Alexander family. It was fantastic. Lion Country Kia has been very, very good to us. Quaker Steak and Lube has been great to us. Face John out of Philly, we love you, brother. Yeah, I guess we'll be wearing these for a couple more months. So get on facejohn.com and buy some Philadelphia-themed masks. So, depending. I mean, we don't know. I mean, is there a meeting at 4:00? Is there not a meeting at 4:00? We don't know.
It's causing confusion for me, though, when I'm going into restaurants. Some of them are not exactly sure what I'm talking about when I say, hey, Johnny sent me.
Johnny sent me.
Wait, to the restaurant?
So the way I'm looking at it is I went out to lunch 4 times this week. I'm $2,000 free into a car right now. Woo! Yeah, baby.
I'm going to go out every night, twice a night.
Exactly. Hey, can I borrow your receipt before you leave? You don't mind that, do you?
Not quite how that works.
That was just that's a great thought process by Blaze Alexander and Johnny Broom and that crew. I'm still driving my Kia Telluride. It's a fantastic vehicle. And we're still eating the wings and having a great show here. So hopefully we are from Quaker Steak and Lube next week, depending on, we're hearing different rumors about shutdowns of this and that. So we don't know. We'll keep you informed, obviously.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And again, the ongoing frustration, I think, for everybody just continues. And
yep.
we'll see, as we
So-
always do, what the next day brings.
3 months ago, sitting in these exact chairs, I want your honest opinion. Did you think we would be playing game 8 this week?
No.
Nope.
For sure not.
Yeah.
I also would have told you that I would think at this stage of the year that Penn State football would have more wins than Penn State basketball, and I would have been wrong on that count.
Touche. Very
well.
nice. Good point. Good point.
So
Yeah.
it has been a very strange year in a lot of different ways.
Oh, Lord. So, I mean, is there anything news, anything on football? I mean, geez, wrestling at all? I mean, anything?
There has been nothing official, and I don't know the expectation I've been told at this point, and I'm not sure if it's expectation or hope or belief. The plan right now, as I understand it, is to have a January through March season. And again, this could be changing. This could have changed behind the scenes already, but as of a couple of weeks ago, at least my understanding was January 1st programs were going to be allowed to compete. Now, you have some schools that have already indicated that listen, even if there is, we're out. Just can't do it. Well, I mean, the Ivy Leagues have already called off, and in a sport like wrestling, that is not insignificant.
Liberals.
Because obviously you have Cornell is a powerhouse in wrestling, but you have some other very good programs out there. Princeton and Harvard have very good teams. So it hurts the sport as a whole when any conference opts out.
We're
Again,
down.
some
You
other
don't have the numbers basketball and football have. I mean, what's the number of wrestling programs? Division I.
Right now, we're down to about, I'm not sure the exact number. I think it was 79 or 81. I forget. It was one side or the other of 81.
Lose 7 or 8 out of the Ivy League, so you're pushing 70 maybe?
Yeah, that's probably in that neighborhood. And again, I think there's a few more. Listen, I'm hearing rumors, and it's admittedly just rumors. Don't run with it. But there's some concern about the Patriot League and what it may be doing as we head toward Christmas break here. So that would be another, if you're talking about the Lehighs and the Navies of the world, that's significant again in a sport like wrestling. So we'll wait and see what happens. But I think right now the plan is kind of a January to March. I think they're foregoing tournaments with the exception of the postseason tournaments. So it'd be all dual meet action until your conference tournaments and then the NCAA championships if God willing we're able to get to that point.
You said rumors, so I thought that you set it up between me and Kale. I mean, there's that speculation out there. No, that's not happening. No one wants that to happen. And if it was off me, that's the easiest way to do it. Just I got to wrestle Kale Sanderson.
Yeah, I do have some questions too. There's maybe we'll get into this, but there's some indication that we may have because I've been thinking about this since you showed it to me before the show on at least what's being reported out there as a possible announcement at 4:00.
Yep.
Regarding what would you call
it?
Restrictions. Well, restrictions on
mitigation.
Very a wide scope of business and industries and everything else regarding COVID here in Pennsylvania. And one of the things that is being reported is that it would limit, because I was asking about it specifically mentions professional sports will continue without any fans. But I have a question about it, and it doesn't. And high school sports basically done extracurricular activities, and it doesn't say specifically anything about college sports. Here's my question though, because it had something in there about no indoor activities of more than 10 people. Mm-hmm. Well, if you have a basketball game, obviously there will be some exemptions here. I'm presuming for like NHL games or NBA games, but does that go over to the college level? Because I mean, you're having more than 10 just with a practice, let alone a game for any of these sporting events. And again, you can obviously grant exemptions, and my guess is that is what is happening there. But I also got to thinking, this was a thought that popped into my mind earlier today, and I don't think we talked about it yet. What happened to, and I'm not for or against, so don't read anything into my beliefs here, but back over the summer, we were told, right, that if Penn State wasn't in session, and Penn State wasn't the only school saying this, but Sandy Barber said, listen, if we're not in person, no sports. Well, we're not in person, and sports are continuing. And there are a lot of folks on campus that believe there will not be in-person classes in the spring semester throughout. And if that is the case, did we just waive? And we're waiving everything else and changing everything else. I'm not. I'm okay with it. It's just what happened to that? No, we have to be in person, and we can't have sports. That would be ridiculous. And have no in-person classes.
When they put a
I guess we do have
on
some. Maybe that's what the caveat is, that they're. Well, no, we have a couple of classes that are still in person, so of course we're going to have sports.
So think about it. The little kid with the his eyes blacked out and with the pinata with a bat hitting the pinata. That's pretty much what the universities and the NCAA and the Big Ten are doing with all this different rules. Yes or no, we're swinging and missing. Sandy Barber, we're not going to have, if we don't have in-person classes, we're not going to have sports. Well, I don't. What if that starts January 4th or 11th, whenever school's supposed to start, and they're going to stay home for another month? Do we just sports are done, over? I mean, it's just so crazy. It's just insane. Well, there is other good wrestling news, though, right?
Yeah.
You got your boy David.
Yeah.
Signed the contract to fight Burroughs, right?
Yes, he did.
Is that going to happen up here
I don't think
again?
it's going to be a fight. I think it's going to be a wrestling match.
Well, that's true. Good point. So
although you never know what it could evolve into.
Same venue and all that stuff?
That's that's the plan.
All right.
I don't know how everything is changing here with the reported governor's announcement here. So I don't know what all how far exemptions can be granted and what all is involved with that. But yeah, that is the plan.
Give me some history. I know Burroughs is one of the top wrestlers in the history of college wrestling. So is David.
Yeah, Burroughs, for my admittedly biased opinion right now, is that Taylor is wrestling as well as anybody in the world. At least it was pre-injury, and what we saw in the last outing. I think he's pretty close to where he was anyway, because Gabe Dean obviously is an outstanding wrestler in his own right. Burroughs, for quite a while, was the standard bearer in the U.S. Yeah. I mean, he took his game. He was a very good collegiate wrestler, but not. I mean, he was a national two-time champ, and so again, outstanding. But you weren't. In college, you weren't looking at him as, this is the all-time greatest of college wrestling. But he is right up there. When you're talking about the all-time greats on the international stage in freestyle wrestling, Bruce Baumgartner, obviously, Dan Gable, but man, John Smith, Cal Sanderson, but Burroughs is right there and maybe a little ahead of a number of those guys in terms of his accomplishment. Now he's, I would say David Taylor right now from a freestyle standpoint is in the peak of his career. I mean, this is his time, you would expect. And I think, he's kind of in that 3-4 year window of where freestyle wrestlers usually peak, that 28 to 32 range. And I think David just turned 30. And but Burroughs, again, for 8 years plus, was just as good as it got. Now his skills have diminished, not greatly. I mean, we're looking at like Tom Brady 2 years ago, or maybe even that last. Maybe not quite where he was, but man, you're still talking about a pretty elite guy and a guy that I think is capable at this stage of his career
KGO veteran
of winning an Olympic gold next year. But David, next weight class up. So David has a couple of advantages here in terms of where he's at in his career and with the weight advantage. Obviously, when Taylor and Burroughs met at that weight, Burroughs edged him, and Burroughs edged everybody. Either edged or dominated everybody for, again, a significant period. So, that one should be fun. Turning back to Penn State football, with Michigan State, the couple of things that I'm really hoping we see continued growth on. I loved what the offense was able to do with just controlling the line of scrimmage, and I love the game planning with Sean Clifford. And I'm just hoping that we see more of that, more of the short passing game being utilized to open up some things, more of let's just stick with the running game, get these guys in a rhythm and feeling good about what they're accomplishing. And I think all of that plays into Sean Clifford's confidence and ability to take care of the football. I don't think it's just that Sean Clifford suddenly said, man, I really do need to take care of the football. I think it's that they're doing some things to play to his strengths, give him some more confidence, and eliminate some of the opportunities that were presenting themselves for him to turn the ball over earlier in the season.
It's really funny what a run game can do to a passing game. It really is. I mean,
For
you
sure.
take a ton of pressure off your quarterback. And that was our issue with Clifford the whole season. Was it just felt like he was trying to do too much because the running game was so stagnant. I mean, it was non-existent in the first 2 weeks of the year. And he took a lot of the crap fell down. It flowed down onto him. I mean, he felt as if he needed to do more as the quarterback of the team and run more and make some aggressive throws. And it didn't work out. Now they got a run game going right now. We got our offensive line blocking right now. He seems more patient in his progressions. He's not taking like these crazy throws, and he's not running. His first option is not running because he is getting protection. He can actually sit back, be comfortable, be confident in being a Big Ten quarterback, which he is. This is the guy we expected. And it all goes back to the run game and the offensive line. I mean, I'm going to say that as a mutant, but it really is. I mean, it's a huge thing. You talked about last week. Get the ball out. Spread these guys out in the defense. Don't let them tee off on this offensive line. Sean Clifford throws the ball down the seams. Fantastic. He doesn't throw great fades, in my opinion. You talked about the coaches.
Well, you saw that the post to Parker was. I mean, that's his game, right? That's what.
Open it up. Dump it off to the tight end. Dump it off to the wide receivers. Run some wide receiver screens. Get those safeties nodding out and worrying about the outside. Get the run game going, and then bam, you drop that pass on him. Huge.
And a couple of things, because the optimistic me is coming out in full force now after these last couple of weeks, and so let me throw it to you. Obviously, as we've talked about, losing Micah Parsons and Journey Brown from this season impacted,
sure,
doesn't explain away an 0-5 start in and of itself, but arguably inarguably your best defensive player and arguably your best offensive player not suiting up has to have
your
some
leaders
impact.
At that, your leaders
True.
too.
Looking ahead, though, right, to next season, and listen, this has always been about, can Penn State get there to the promised land, at least in the college football playoffs, if not a national championship? And toward that end, coming off of what could still be, a 2-7 season, or could be as good as a 5-5 season, but not generally off of a 5-5 season do you have fan bases saying, oh, look out, we're going to win a national title. A couple of things that I like about what we're seeing now these last couple of weeks, and perhaps, again, optimistic me chiming in here, perhaps with Parsons and Brown out, right, we're seeing more opportunities for the two freshman running backs. We're seeing a linebacking core that I think is getting better and better. I mean, Lucetta obviously had a terrific game against Rutgers. And with the eligibility rules and everything else, it feels like if Penn State can get one more big-time receiver right? So one more to really be a guy that you feel comfortable with, that, yes, consistently they're going to make the plays. I mean, I think Parker is there heading into next season. Dotson obviously is there. And I think the tight ends, the other thing is with Freiermuth's injury,
interchangeable tight ends have been great.
Think both of those guys have been terrific. I mean, maybe not quite Freiermuth good, but pretty darn close, and on their way to being that type of an impact player in the game. So I think when you start looking at the pieces that you need to make, it's going to come back to quarterback play for me, because I think everything else is there. Again, if everybody stays healthy, everybody continues to progress, you get the team unity, all of that stuff, and no way to know right now that all of that stuff is going to come together the way you're hoping.
Yep.
But to me, if they can get good quarterback play, maybe not Trevor Lawrence, maybe not Justin Fields, but good quarterback play, not turning the ball over and being able to make some plays in the clutch, and being a clear leader, man, it feels like this team will be in the mix anyway next year. I mean, at least back to where it was for the 2016 through 2019.
Yeah, this season, in my opinion, really didn't have it. This is just bonus football we're playing right now, in my opinion. We're going to pick right up where we expected this team to be this past September, in my opinion. You talk about quarterback play and this and that, and you know where I'm going, Jeff. If we could get this offensive line playing the way they have the last 2 weeks, going into next season, playing this well right off the get
against big-time quality defensive lines.
We got Wisconsin the first game next season.
Yeah.
We got Auburn the third game of the season. Boys, you better be ready to go. It starts up front always with me, more so than ever with this team, with a quarterback who is shaky and has a little confidence issues. Best friend of your quarterback and your passing game would be the running game, and that's it. I mean, if you can take a lot of pressure off of Clifford, if we can just run the ball, dominate up front, not dominate, just control up front, control. Yeah. And I think what we're going to see is we are progressing right now the way that we thought we would have in the beginning of the season, but we didn't have spring ball, we didn't have preseason practice, and that added up. It really, really, really hurt us big time.
Yeah, and especially with as many young guys in key spots as Penn State had, and again with some of the defections and injuries situations. Again, I don't know that 0-5 should have been projected, but I think certainly not having the success that many,
your two Cotton Bowl MVPs
were understandable.
Your two Cotton Bowl MVPs were gone. They weren't supposed to be gone, but they ended up being gone.
And the other part, Goon, I don't, we're not going to harp on it ad nauseum, but the fact is this team did beat Indiana.
Yeah.
And from a confidence standpoint, I don't know what that means. I mean, I don't know if that game goes the way I think it clearly should have gone, if the right calls are made. I don't know. I'm not sitting here telling you that they're 7-0 right now, that they handle Ohio State and they whip Maryland, but boy, it would be interesting. It feels like it would play out differently. Now, how differently and whether or not, nope, it just would have been one more win, and instead of 2-5, they'd be 3-4. I mean, I don't know, and there's no way
teams
to
know. Michigan dust.
But it feels like, right, because it is different when you lose a game like that versus winning a game over somebody that you're expecting to beat, even if it's closer than you were expecting. There's just a different feeling that comes out of that. And the other part of it is, just from a scheduling standpoint, Ohio State is usually at least, 6 or 7 games deep into the season. That is a veteran and extremely talented Ohio State team with obviously a dynamic quarterback. If that game is played, if the win is granted against Indiana and that Ohio State game is in week 6 or 7, again, do I think this Penn State team this year beats Ohio State on any week? No, I don't think so. I think Ohio State beats any Big Ten team any week this year. But it just would be interesting, if you get to a different stage and you're playing with more confidence and, again, the what ifs that's where sports fans live. It's what if this had happened, or what if we had done that? But it's just something to think about. And I do think there is a lot of reason for optimism if you are a Penn State fan to think that this 2020 season is an aberration and not necessarily an indication of things to come. I do think these next couple of recruiting classes are huge for James Franklin. And I'm still not sure how all of this with the COVID and the extra year of eligibility, I don't know how that plays into that.
Do they raise it from 105 to 115?
Well,
Who knows?
And if they do, part of me wonders how this plays out in terms of schools that are not traditional powers getting an opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of talent out there, and with the transfer rules being what they are, this is just going to be a really interesting next 2 to 3 years anyway in college sports across the board and college football in particular. I don't think the Alabamas or the Ohio States are going anywhere, or the Clemsons, but I think there are some opportunities here for some programs with dynamic coaches that maybe don't normally get that type of talent pool to make a significant jump. And, again, I think Penn State's well situated with what it has. I do think, again, these next couple of years are just absolutely crucial. I guess I should say both from a recruiting standpoint and from a development standpoint, right? That they've got to get these guys to continue to buy in and take those leaps from one season to the next in terms of where their individual games are and then where the program as a whole.
Sure. I mean, James said 3-4 years ago, we're not there yet. We need to do this. We're still not there. And that all starts with recruiting. So I know the next couple years will be a little bit odd and different. And, from there, what we got here, Penn State versus Michigan State, December 12th. They moved it to noon? All right, so they bumped Penn State. They bumped us from 3:30 to noon now this week. ESPN to ABC, so we're a national game. Very nice. Oh, we took Ohio State, Michigan. We took their time slot. There we go. We are the little brother. Yep, Michigan State is the little brother, and we are a little brother of Ohio State. So, oh Lord, yeah. I mean, it's a very important game for us this week. A very important game. If next week happens, I thought that you were handing me. Maybe they made an announcement that they're gonna play some games next week somewhere.
But this is a game where it feels like Penn State should again be dominating the line of scrimmage, right? I mean, Michigan State to me is pretty comparable right now with its line play to a Rutgers. I mean, this is a game where if Penn State goes out and plays its game, and with the enthusiasm and the focus that we've seen the last couple of weeks, it feels like this is a game that Penn State should be able to take care of business fairly easily.
We are Sparty. They are Sparty. We are Penn State. You treat them like Michigan State. You put your foot on their throat. Don't let them breathe. Knock them out early. Treat them like Michigan State. That's play old school Penn State football. Dominate from the start to finish. Let them know you played Penn State yesterday. By the way, that's just how we got to play this game. It's going to be a dogfight because, Sparty will fight. They are, you let them stay in this game, they will fight. I mean, they're tough kids, and they've always historically been a tough football program. So we need to be ready to go from the start. Yet again, we need to be very good from the start. Knock them out early, let them quit early, and then, make it easy.
Make gruff Sparty stuffed Sparty.
Well, it looks like that helmet they're wearing looks like freaking Popeye on their helmet, for God's sakes. I mean, like they're wearing green. Looks like they're going to eat the spinach.
Just don't provide any spinach on Saturday.
Right?
That's all we're saying.
Holy crap. What a horribly ugly logo that is.
I like the noon kickoff myself, too, because then you can go watch the rest of the action for the 3:30 games without and that's fun as a sports fan to be able to get your game that you're focused on out of the way and be able to enjoy the rest of the late afternoon and evening action that Saturday, hopefully.
Yeah. I was running the 15K on Saturday at noon. I guess I got to cancel that, I was doing an Ironman competition on Saturday at 10 a.m. I'm going to have to pass on that because of the noon kickoff. So, damn it.
Well, the next
all that
week.
training for nothing. Damn it.
Next week. Good. Next week.
Oh, man.
Steelers, Eagles, real quick as we head into the weekend. The one thing about the NFC East,
What?
of all of the things that are bizarre about the NFC East this year, how about that, at least as we sit here today now, right, it's pretty clear that the team formerly known as the Redskins and the Giants, right, it's going to be one of those two teams now that is going to win the NFC East. Those were the only two teams that you knew at the start of the season weren't going to be in it. You didn't know whether it was going to be the Cowboys or the Eagles, but you knew it was going to be one of those two no matter how much they struggled early. Now it is clear that or seems clear that it is going to be either the Giants or the team formerly known as the Redskins.
Eagles are going to go on a run and win the division with 6 wins. It's over.
Jalen Hurts will lead them.
Yeah, I am interested to see what Hurts does. I mean, I'd be scared if I was him because they have absolutely mush in front of him playing offensive line, and it's not going to be good. And
well, the Eagles have the clear with Hurts in there, have the clear quarterback advantage with this weekend's matchup. Now moving forward, it's going to be the challenge.
Wow, man, we'll see. I mean, it will be interesting to see how they go forward with Jalen Hurts. I just cannot. I mean, can't believe the regression of Carson Wentz in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just he was the MVP before he blew his knee out.
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl season, he was the MVP easily. He was running away with it, and to be where we're at now, where he's taking sacks and not throwing the ball away, it's still the same crap. It drives you absolutely insane. You know, they watched the Monday night game or Tuesday night game, or whatever the hell they played. But you know, they talk about Roethlisberger. You know, saying he's not taking as many hits now. He's learned to throw the ball away. I mean, you don't got to be an idiot to realize you're not going to last that long in this league if you keep taking hits from 300-pound men running 840s at you.
I do think it is one of the it seems to me anyway that it's underappreciated by Steelers fans the way Ben has changed his game. I mean, it's to me it's comparable to what Tiger Woods did with his golf swing, where it was working big time, and he reworked it. Now, some of it was he had to rework it because of the injuries and obviously the age. The mobility is not what it was. Still pretty darn good for his age and for where he's at. But the fact that he has been clean in that pocket all season long with that receiving core, to me, it's actually disappointing that they have not had more success, more consistent success, even without the running game with that passing game. And I'm really curious to see Sunday night what the Steelers do, because I do think if they are, the objective here is to win a Super Bowl. You have to get that running game. I'm not saying you have to be a run-oriented offense. They don't.
You still need,
but you have got to be able to get a yard. And I don't know that James Conner, maybe he does. Maybe he makes that kind of a difference. The hope is he'll be back for the Sunday night game.
No one's talking about he had cancer. He's immune compromised. I mean, with this COVID thing, no one's really even mentioned that.
Yeah, but if he's back and healthy, I think they've got to get a steady dose of.
They really do.
You're right. And even if it's not working early, you've just got to stick with that for a while and try to get that developed, because again, it's not that they need to be run first in the playoffs or cold weather games or anything like that, but you have to have that element for good defenses, the Kansas Cities of the world, to be concerned about. Even Cleveland at the end of the season, if they're not running the ball with some effectiveness, I think the Browns will beat them with the way that Cleveland team is both running the ball right now, and even listen, the Steelers' defense has been terrific, but that's a game that worries me too. This Bills game, I'm fired up for it. Coming off the loss to Washington, I think this is going to be one of the more
right? Your friend's teams
more enjoyable. Yeah. One of the more enjoyable. Even if you're not a Steelers or Bills fan, I think this is going to be one of the more fun games to watch, and some intriguing matchups with Allen, Josh Allen going against that Steelers defense, with the Steelers offense going against that Buffalo defense with the way it's playing right now. There's a lot of really intriguing storylines. Buffalo trying to finally overtake the Patriots and be the team in the AFC East and the Steelers obviously still vying for the number one seed in the AFC playoffs. Just a lot of great storylines, a lot of interest in that game on Sunday night, and I'm probably as fired up for that as I think I've been for any game this season.
I've noticed, give my 2 cents about Ben, is that he still has the arm, but he's had really good touch this season.
Yeah,
he hasn't had that before.
Yeah,
he really worked hard in the offseason with
I do think his shorter passes. You're right. Have definitely been.
But he still has the howitzer when needed, which you're going to need in January.
Sure.
In Kansas City or Pittsburgh, you're going to need that strong arm because the weather will play a fact, and if they are or not going to go to the Super Bowl.
No, and they have big time receivers. They have to start consistently catching the football.
Oh yeah.
You just cannot continue to leave the plays on the field that this team has, and that's why I'm really intrigued about this game against Buffalo on Sunday night. If when you're in a game where you have to have that, does this team respond? And we'll find out. We'll at least get some indication of that on Sunday night. So
just real quick, I'm just looking at the television here.
Yep.
I'm not an NBA fan, nor are you, nor is any of our listeners.
Not even a little bit.
Paul George signs a projected 4-year, $190 million extension.
Yeah,
it's not bad work if you can get it.
Pretty similar to the deal you just signed to keep doing this show, as I
absolutely
understand it. So,
yeah. My agent came through big time. 2021.
You and Paul George have the same agent?
2021 is the year of Goon Ironhead. We're going to take it to the next level, baby.
Yeah,
we're going to be on in Lock Haven.
Clearly sense that coming. As always, we appreciate your tuning in. As Goon said, we really do thank our sponsors for hanging with us, and we are certainly hanging with them through these challenging times, which may again get even more challenging. But thank you,
be strong,
in particular, to Lion Country Kia and to Quaker Steak and Lube here. And, depending on what happens here, just continue to encourage you to support those two businesses in particular, but local businesses in your community because, again, these are very difficult times. So if you are able, we strongly encourage you to do what you can to help out the local businesses. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday with another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak and Lube.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on a new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2020 Kia Sportage LX with various options and prices as low as $26,860 with savings over $3,800.
If you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2020 Kia Sorentos starting at $31,205 and over $6,100 in savings.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Introducing the new dusted Ghost Pepper at Quaker Steak and Lube. 11,700 SHUs of fire dusted on award-winning wings. Try it, or are you afraid of the heat?
Who wants to turn $20 into $500? Support our local restaurants this holiday season. Eat in or dine out, from French fries to lobster. Bring us your receipt and we'll take $500 off your final price. Here's how simple this is. Bring us a receipt, buy a car from us in the month of December, and we'll take $500 off your final price. Merry Christmas from Blaise Alexander Hyundai Mazda. Support your local restaurants and servers. And remember, tell them Johnny sent you.